Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
Cool. Hey, from the audience, I got my questions, but theirs are always more fun. Allie in Texarkana, she remembers you from Austin days. She says, I love when Luke is on the show. Do you have a fun Austin, Texas story from your time with the Texas Stars? Something real quick.
Well, I'm still the all-time penalty minute and fight leader with the Texas Stars. So I started my career there. 4 years, 19 to 22 age. Some of my fondest memories were made in Cedar Park, Texas.
It is a grand town. From BW in Edmonton says, pardon me, Luke, who was the toughest hockey fighter you faced and hardest body checker?
Ooh, good questions. The fighter part, I've never felt, still to the day, anyone as strong as Brian McGrattan. And I fought him my first battle of Alberta in Calgary, center ice at the Saddle Dome. And when he grabbed onto my collar, I had never felt something like that in my life. He had this ability to move me around anywhere he wanted to go. And I remember just having an internal dialogue, just kind of hang in here, breathe, stay in there. But there was nobody like Big Earn, I'll tell you that much. Hitter.
Those are the best. Yeah.
But Dustin Byfuglien, anyone that has seen the YouTube clip of me get hit by Dustin Byfuglien, and I did a full 180, there was nobody like him in hockey, especially when he got moving. And when I tried to hit him multiple times, it was just like bouncing off a brick wall.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
This former producer of major market television shows writing into us anonymously to say he just found our show on Game Plus Television. Here's some tips. The show has ADD. It's all over the place. Your sound effects are annoying. And your host is arrogant. Right on all counts. But that's what we want. That's what we wanted it to be.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
It's a little thing we call Football Friday. Hi, everybody. We just got a note from the control room in Toronto, the control room at Game Plus Television. We're airing only in the United States of America on Game Plus in the 31 states. We're not on the air in Canada, so I hope that people find us on YouTube there. And, of course, as always on the radio in Atlanta, WQEE. So I'm going to mentally flip to a lot of U.S. topics, but coming up on the program today, from Cardinal Gibbons High School, CFL alum, Matt Dubuc. Actually, you can bring him in now, guys, for the first segment. And then CFL on TSN's Jim Barker, Las Vegas guy. And in hour 3, Darrin Bauming from Bonfire Sports in Winnipeg. Can you hit the quick six show horn, please, Director Jordan? Jump into it. Boom, boom, boom. Matt, as you know, Matt, we're pressed for time. So I'm going to open with this. We're going to get to some NFL stuff with you, Coach, but you watched this last night. Third-string quarterback Davis Alexander threw 2 touchdowns, came off the bench at halftime as the Alouettes rallied from a 16-3 halftime deficit to the Saskatchewan Roughriders at Percival Molson Stadium last night, and Montreal won 20-16 in a battle of division leaders. Als go to 6-1. Riders dropped to 5-2. That was the lid lifter to Week 8. I know we're going fast, but a third-string quarterback beat Canada's team, Matt. They're raging here in the Wheat Province. What did you see in the game?
Thanks for having me, obviously, Rod. And, watching the game last night, it goes back to, the things that we've talked about over and over with Davis Alexander. Kind of looked like a Drew Brown repeat from last year, came in and just, ran the offense and did a great job. Our team's going to prepare for him a little differently next time they see him, maybe. But he's just looked really comfortable out there, and Caleb Evans didn't. So you go there, and then again you look at Montreal. Their defense is really good. Marc-Antoine Dupuis and Marcus Sales. Those guys are awesome. And let's talk about the kickers. No big kicks last night, no big returns, but hit the post twice. That's a big deal. And You don't get the single, you don't get the change possession or change field position. So I think Saskatchewan, they hit those 2 kicks. We might, the coach isn't getting roasted today like he's probably getting roasted, but that's why we love this game.
More than anything, what I'm hearing, Coach, is simply we've lost 2 of 3. Are we going in the wrong direction? How come we didn't score any points in the second half? Thought we were a second half or fourth quarter team. Blah, blah, blah. The usual. As I said to you, Matt, everybody wants to coach in Saskatchewan, the hotbed, until they coach in Saskatchewan, then realize everybody's up their ass 24/7, 365. Do you want that as a coach or not?
Yeah, I think because it's relevant, makes you relevant, makes, listen, it's all about winning and losing, living and dying. I mean, when people care, it's all part of it. And Saskatchewan's probably the best market in the CFL, the toughest market. But look at last night at the crowd in Montreal. I don't know how many people they had, but I heard the horns blaring, and the fans looked like they were all in. And so, yeah, I think there's a resurgence of the CFL. I think people are enjoying it, and it's good when they're talking about it, good or bad.
Yeah, that is a fact. We only got Coach Dubuc for one segment here, so everybody, if you have questions, bring him in. Bring him in. We're going to get to the NFL stuff because we're airing on television in the USA solely today. But I want to get to this point, too, because I know you got all your CFL notes ready to go, Matt. From the CFL head office on Thursday, Edmonton quarterback McLeod Bethel-Thompson is back on the CFL's naughty list. The Elks quarterback has been fined after criticizing the schedule for a second time this season. Macbeth let loose after Edmonton and Ottawa each played on 5 days rest last week. It marked the second time Macbeth has ripped the league and the second time he's been fined for playing just 5 days apart. Also, Winnipeg linebacker Adam Bighill was fined for a late hit on Saskatchewan quarterback Shea Pedersen in the final game of the play of the game in Week 7. Your thoughts on those guys getting nailed?
I mean, lighten up, CFL front office. That's all part of it. The guy's probably 35 years old and his body's a little banged up. He's just complaining about that. And when Big Hill hits you, you better be ready. And if he hits you late, it happens. That's just football. So you can't let that stuff bother you.
You played in the CFL with Winnipeg and Toronto and at Texas Tech, and you're coaching young football players now. How do you feel about short weeks and the spacing of the CFL schedule in 2024?
They are what they are. I mean, everybody gets them, and you just have to, live with it. Complaining isn't going to make it any better. And you go out there and you just got to lay it on the line. You have to have a good roster. You have to make sure you have the depth you need. So when guys do get banged up, you can obviously make adjustments. Look at Frankie Hickson last night. You haven't really heard about him at all. Rushed for over 100 yards last night, and he looked great. He was fresh, again, that's part of the marathon that we're running when we play a football season. You get to the playoffs, then you sprint.
I mentioned USA only for television today, so I want to get to the National Football League. It's taking over everything. And, Matt, I'll turn the floor over to you in the last couple minutes for whatever you'd like to talk about. But here's some training camp notes that I've highlighted. The Dallas Cowboys started training camp in Oxnard, California, Thursday with contractual uncertainty around quarterback Dak Prescott, wide receiver CeeDee Lamb, and linebacker Micah Parsons. But owner and general manager Jerry Jones is more worried about getting over the hump in the playoffs than resolving those financial questions. And also out of Lake Forest, Illinois, Chicago Bears safety Jonathan Owens has arranged to take leave from training camp and is heading to Paris Monday night to watch his wife Simone Biles compete for the U.S. gymnastics team. He was unable to watch her in the last Olympics. But to the Cowboys thing for a second, can you imagine being Mike McCarthy in a contractual situation? How do you approach that as a coach? Do you just coach who's there and not worry about it? Or how would you approach that if you were the Cowboys?
I mean, listen, there's not much the head coach doesn't know from what Jerry Jones is telling him. So, you just got to think like Jerry Jones wants to win the Super Bowl. So Jerry Jones is going to do everything in his power to make that happen. So he's not sitting on his hands. So, yeah, you're going to coach the guys that are there, but you're going to get those guys. And, training camp in the NFL now for vets is half of the time, they're holding their helmet in their hand. They're not getting much work until, the last preseason game. So, or the preseason game before the last one. So, training camp to me today is for evaluation of the second half of the roster, not the first half.
Well, Interesting you say that. So CeeDee Lamb now holding out. Jordan Love up in Green Bay. I thought in a lifetime around coaches, it's catastrophic to miss a day. What about installation? You're saying it's not as catastrophic as it used to be for vets to miss training camp, holdouts or otherwise?
No, no. And you know what? It's actually a good thing because you do get a better evaluation process of the bubble players or guys that, hey, CeeDee Lamb, you better be careful because this dude right here that's coming out of college is a second or third year player. We can pay him 1/4 of what we're paying you. And, there's a cap for everything now. So I think it really gives you an opportunity to evaluate bubble people and obviously the second and last part of your roster.
What about the Bears safety being excused from training camp to go watch his wife in the Olympics? I'll just say in our day, Matt, I'm not saying it's right, but I think Ron Lancaster missed the birth of all of his kids. Star quarterback in the CFL. It's just a different time. Your thoughts on that?
Don't get me started on that. Listen, if I put my wife on the show today, she would tell you I've missed every birthday, every holiday, every vacation. So I'm happy for the guy who's got an Olympian wife, and that's great. But me personally, I probably wouldn't have been able to walk away from my job. I watch it on TV.
Right. Okay. Fair.
I'm with you.
Good. So hey, we were raised a certain way, but it's why I've spent thousands of dollars on personal coaching here later in life. Maybe that wasn't the way in retrospect. Our poll question today is, what's the biggest storyline in the NFL entering this new season? Chiefs three-peat, Steelers quarterbacks. They got the new guys up there in Russell Williams and Justin Fields. 3, Cowboys all in. Jarrett says we're all in down here in Dallas. Or other. What's the biggest story for you, Coach, do you think, going into the new season?
I probably think it's other. I was talking to somebody last night, and everybody has the same general manager theories. They all have a board. They all have this. They all have that. But let's face it, you're talking about 4 or 5 teams every year that get it right. So does everybody else fail? Does the system not work for them? So I don't know. It goes back to a hot quarterback, your offensive line, your defensive line, and then everything else is the icing on the cake, as they say. And you don't have those things consistently. And it's just like in the CFL, the quarterbacks that are these young guys that nobody's heard of are coming in and making plays, or they're going to be out of the league. When you get your opportunity, you got to make them. So, I'm sure Davis Alexander didn't get him many reps in camp. And it goes back to Saskatchewan with their quarterback, so Shea Pedersen. So to stay in the league, these guys got to make plays. To get in the league, you got to make plays. So that's what it's all about.
Exactly. 5 minutes left with Coach Dubuc. And I know you are following the CFL so closely, so I want to bring you on with what you've prepared for. I'm going to get to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in a second, but tonight's game, Friday Night Football, is Calgary and Ottawa. Red Blacks are off to their best start in franchise history. It's only 4-2, but it still is. Calgary's winless on the road. How do you see this one plays out in the nation's capital tonight?
I'm bullish on the quarterback in Calgary, so I'm going with Calgary tonight. I think Calgary gets a road win. I think the league is so close right now and so tight. I think Calgary just finds a way, and I'm a big Dave Dickinson fan. I would really watch him coach during games. I really think he does a good job. So I'm going with Jake Mayer and the Stampeders.
I went with Calgary too. My regular co-host, Moose DuPont, who's not here, he's working at the CKPG Women's Open in Calgary. He has gone with Ottawa, and I'm kicking his ass in the pool. Winnipeg did not score a touchdown last week in their loss at Saskatchewan. I think they only had one passing touchdown all season. It was thrown by Chris Streveler. Are the good days over for your former club, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Matt?
They win this week. They come back. Caleros plays good. He probably throws 4 or 5 touchdowns. When are they getting the Kenny Lawler back? Because that's a big, that's a deep threat that he's lost. And again, they win last week for not with that interception or not, excuse me, the fumble on that late pass to number 10. Can't remember his name, but he's good.
Nick Dembski.
Nick Dempsey. Nick Dempsey fumbles that ball on the 20-yard line, 25-yard line. They're going in to score. So that's a different deal. So, turnovers in football and taking care of the ball. And Caleros is still Caleros. He's still a really good player, and they're going to be just fine.
I'm holding you to that. I want to believe that. But their loss in Sask last week was not good. Like, can you see why their fans are concerned? They know ball in Winnipeg. You know that. You played. They know. And they're concerned, Matt, that they're not getting better. That not even that they've plateaued, that they're starting to slide. Would you agree or disagree with that?
Well, I don't agree with that. I don't think Caleros has played his best football yet. So I still think there's opportunity to go vertical with them. And then, listen, they are an aging roster. It's very clear. They are looking their age a little bit. But those guys typically get through the first hump of the season, and then the sprint starts. So they're plotting right now. They're plotting. They're going to be fine. I'm not worried about them at all.
Okay. I would typify you, correct me if I'm wrong, as a Jones guy. He introduced you and I. I'm grateful to him for that. His Elks are home to Hamilton on Sunday. In the Toilet Bowl, brought to you by Charmin. Ticats at Elks on Sunday. Does Edmonton finally win this one, do you think?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I talked to G. Roy Simon 2 days ago. We had a great conversation. He's a Jones guy. I don't think so. I think Hamilton's kind of figured it out a little bit, and I think they're going to make a little bit of a push. Chad Kelly, they need Chad Kelly back like ASAP in Toronto. I don't know when that's going to happen, but he needs to come back. But what I'm going to share with you and everybody is the defenses on pretty much every team has played really well, except Hamilton and some Spurs have played bad. But I just think there's a lot of parity right now, and you're seeing a lot of new names and new faces at quarterback coming in and kind of emerging. And is that going to push out the younger guys? Yeah, and I talked to G. Roy about Trey Ford, and I said, why doesn't anybody package plays for that guy? Like, he's fast. Make the have McLeod in there and then bring him in for a 3rd and 5 and let him run. Let him chase you around. He says, yeah, we're going to try to get into that. And he didn't want to do it before. Trey Ford apparently didn't want to do that. Well, you're the coach. You're either going to do it or you're going to go play for somebody else.
Yeah, who's running the show, right? Matt, we've covered it all. You're getting good at this media thing. Don't get too good or you'll take Jim Barker's job because your old coach is coming in next. You have a great weekend, Matt. Enjoy the games. I'll be talking with you.
Take care, Rod. Thanks a lot. Have a good one. Canadian fans, you're awesome. And American fans, you're great. Take care.
There you go. The fans are the best. Without them, there's no us. Tony from George Fox country writes that he says the biggest NFL storyline is other. The Houston Texans are loaded for bear this year. We'll see. Or was it a fluke? We're talking about it all on a Football Friday. Hour 2. Things will slow down a bit. We'll get into the Olympic storyline, some baseball, because I'm working in baseball this summer and I love it. But the CFL on TSN's Jim Barker joins us next, and we are live on Game Plus Television, USA only today, but on the radio in Atlanta, WQEE, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Live, and Spotify.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
The 80s Club, live in Moose Jaw. Honeymoon Suite, along with a flock of seagulls. Men without hats. And spoons. All together for one night at Moose Jaw Event Center, Saturday, November 16th. Tickets on sale now at sastix.ca or the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
It is Canada's favorite daytime talk show, but we're not on the air in Canada today. Only USA on television on Game Plus. But of course, thanks to everybody for finding us on streaming and on the radio in Atlanta. We're brought to you in part by Saskatoon's Battle for Recovery. Join award-winning recovery speakers like singer Shaylin Fox, podcaster Daniel Hearn, Dr. Wendy Gore-Hickman, and Hall of Fame broadcaster and sober coach Rod Pedersen at TCU Place in Saskatoon as we celebrate recovery and share experiences from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Friday, August 30th. For tickets, go to empower2recover.com. That's the number 2, empower2recover.com. They all can't wait to get the coach in. Jim Barker from the CFL on TSN. Hey, Coach, I can't start with you. I can't wait to ask you this. Alouettes win last night, 20-16. Davis Alexander comes off the bench at halftime, leads the Owls to the win. A star is born or luck?
Or a young guy had a great half. He had a great half. Danny has liked him. I talked about him at training camp with Danny, and they've kept him around for 2 years for a reason. I mean, they think he's really got some ability, but maybe not quite ready. And I think he showed, you know what, I'm ready. And it was pretty interesting the way he played. It was 2 football games, and I've really never seen anything like it because Saskatchewan dominated in the first half. They dominated them in every sense. Physically, they dominated them on offense, on defense. And then the second half, it was like Davis Alexander takes him the length of the field, the first drive, and it was almost like you could feel the riders kind of say, "Oh no, what is this?" And basically, they didn't have the ball in the second half. I mean, Davis Alexander, it almost seemed like every time they touch it, they were going to take the ball the length of the field and score. And he made some big plays with his feet and avoiding the rush. Again, it was, the Lowther's field goals so well kicked, and they hit the crossbar, and it was a great football game. But it was two football games. It was the first half and it was the second half.
Well, the Rider fans are going to want to know your thoughts on what did you see. How are you not able to stop this? I mean, I've never been in that position, so I'm not even going to try to guess, but is it as simple as they'd never had Davis Alexander on film before? I mean, as a runner, he's exceptional, but he was putting the ball on people downfield too. I mean, was it all him? How can Sass not figure out a way to stop this guy over 30 minutes?
Well, their game plan was for Caleb Evans, who can't throw the ball the way he does over the middle and those types of things. But I don't think that's it as much as, when a team gets momentum, they're hard to stop. And I think you got to give Montreal credit. I give Saskatchewan total credit for the first half, the way they played in the first half. They dominated. They had lost A.J. Ouellette. They had lost Keon Schaefer-Baker, yet they still, Hickson had 100 yards rushing in the first half. I think what happens is they take it down, and all of a sudden the defense is like, wow, we can't let these guys have an inch. So now they do things a little bit differently. They, they're maybe going to try to play, a little bit more cautiously. And then they go down, they score again, and before you know it, they're behind. And it's 17-16, and you could just feel their offense change modes. Instead of, let's let Hickson control this game, it's like, wow, Shea's got to make a play. He's got to get us we need to get a big play to Bain or get the ball upfield to a Joe. And you just had that feeling they felt like they needed to do that because they didn't feel like, I felt like their defense felt like, they're going to, the Saskatchewan defense felt like, I don't know whether we can stop these guys. I mean, they've almost seemed, it was really a bizarre thing, Rod. Milton Enoch and I were talking about it, how the team basically just completely changed in the second half. And you know what? It'll be a great learning experience for them. It really will. And Enoch said, it's a strange feeling when these kind of things happen. But it was something that the three of us have been around a lot of football, and we're absolutely befuddled by the way the thing came down in the second half. But, and he said it was a lot about when you're on defense and you can't stop them, it's like you're going to try to do whatever you can, and now you're going out of your lane. You're maybe pushing too wide, and they're throwing inside. And again, I hate to. I can't give Davis Alexander all the credit. He gets a lot of credit, but some of it was the way the things changed for him.
You talk about being on the panel last night. I'll quickly say I was at a fundraiser last night for CFL Fans Fight Cancer. I'm back in Saskatchewan for the summer. I'm sitting at a table full of Rider fans. You came on the TV, and I said, nobody wants to hear from that Barker guy. I looked around the table. This lady goes, he's on your show every week. I said, I was just looking to see who was listening. They were all tuned in. We might have to go a little long on this segment because Clay and Brandon wants to know, can you please ask Jim what he thinks of quarterback Shea Pedersen?
I'll tell you this. Big Hill got fined for the late hit on Pedersen. And I became a huge Shea Pedersen fan because he came out. We have so many quarterbacks crying about different things. And he took that hit and he said, you know what? That was on me. I didn't throw the ball in time, and he's playing football, and I deserved it. And you know what? I said, taking accountability for something, that's just not common. And I became a huge Shea Pedersen fan, and I think he's growing every week. The second half was maybe a bit of a setback, but it was, again, in a position where we got a big lead. Now all of a sudden we're behind, and he hadn't been in that situation. Again, I thought he made some good plays. Picton being out of bounds, that would have given him a first down, and give him a chance to drive the ball down the field and for a winning score. So I've become a big Shea Pedersen fan. I first met him at a workout camp down in the States, and I said, why do you act the way you act? And he says, you know what? My dad said the exact same thing to me. And he has found a home in Saskatchewan where sometimes personalities need to be around other personalities. And Corey Mace and Mark Mueller and those guys are easy guys to get along with. And Shea Pedersen is at home there. And I think he's a great backup quarterback in the league.
Well, listen, I've only spent a half a century here. I kind of know how it goes. And here's the thing. They've been kissing Corey Mace's butt since the day he was hired. But now people lighting some fires. We've lost 2 or 3. How come you didn't adjust? Blah, blah, blah. You're going to find out what it's like around here. It's not all unicorns and rainbows.
And you know what?
You got to win.
What, Rod? And you know what, Rod? To that point, I think it's gonna show a lot about how Corey Mace is. Because you're right. When you're winning, that's the greatest job in the world. But you're right. 2 losses, and they're already like, whoa, we've lost 2 out of 3. What's going to happen? And this team has always started well. Last year, I think they started, I don't know exactly, but it was just Labor Day on. They couldn't win a game for 2 straight years. So, again, I don't see that happening. I really do think we gave medals in our pregame show. We gave Olympic-like medals for the season. And my gold medal went to Corey Mace. Milt Stiegel's gold medal went to Corey Mace. What he has done is remarkable. He's changed an entire organization, a team, and really a community, the mindset. And like Milt said, people aren't going to the lake. They're wanting to go watch the Riders. And that's a credit to what he's done. And he says the right things. Like Shea Pedersen said, it takes things like that when a guy is accountable for himself. I find that, so exhilarating.
Rare. Yeah.
We had McLeod 2 weeks in a row talking about the schedule, and somebody needs to sit him down and say, this commissioner went to a 21-week schedule to give teams more buys so that they wouldn't have this. That's why they play so long, because he didn't want these short weeks. And yeah, do you have a few? You absolutely do. But my goodness, I mean, it's a bandwagon he needs to jump off of.
So to the fans of the other teams, Friday night football, the Ottawa Redblacks look to stay perfect at home tonight when they host the Calgary Stampeders. Ottawa 3-0 at TD Place, 4-2. This year, their best start in franchise history. Stamps 0-3 on the road. What do we see tonight at TD Place?
It's one of the most interesting games of the weekend, because I think you have 2 teams that are both wanting to be upper echelon teams. Ottawa's basically won 4 games, and the teams that they've beaten in those 4 games have won 3 games. They beat Edmonton twice, they beat Hamilton, and they beat Winnipeg. That's their 4 wins. Calgary, on the other hand, has basically that win last week against BC was big, because BC came in on a high. It was a game that I think BC felt like they could really get some separation, and Calgary came out and played great. Calgary's on a short week, and Ottawa's basically had a long week. I think they played Thursday last week, so they've had over a week to prepare. So they have a little advantage there. But I see Calgary coming in there and really giving them everything they want. It's I think the secondary in Ottawa is still a little beat up, but they're getting better because they're playing the same guys. Now Dandridge will be coming back soon and that kind of thing. But this is a fascinating game. Dedman is going to be out, which doesn't sound like a huge deal. They lost both Dedman and Harris, their 2 returners. Well, what that does is that takes Pimpleton, who has been such a key part of that offense. He's now the returner. You have a head coach that's a special teams guy. So that guy's not getting rest on special teams. I can tell you that. So he's going to get rest on offense, which takes their big playmaker off the field. I think that hurts them a lot by having those returners out. And now Pimpleton will be great as a returner, but it will affect his ability to play on offense. So the game's fascinating. It's got a lot of interesting things. And Jake Mayer is, I heard Matty Dubuc talk about him, and coaches love guys like him because he does what he's supposed to do. He's pretty consistent, and he's coming into his own. And hopefully, he finishes this year the way he did his first year. And this game I think is big for them to move into that upper echelon with BC. Or are they going to move down into the lower echelon? And it's the same thing for Ottawa. Are they in the – I mean, Toronto's 500 right now. They're just hanging on till Chad Kelly comes back, 3 more games. Obviously, Montreal is the class of the East right now at 6-1. Is Ottawa closer to Montreal, or are they closer to Hamilton, who is, 0-over?
Right.
Or 1 for.
If it wasn't for that potential Grey Cup preview last night, my game of the week would have been Winnipeg at Toronto. Maybe just because my favorite color is blue. But I always think it's special when the Bombers visit the Argos. Come on, Toronto, get out and fill BMO Field. That's a good one.
That's a great game. I mean, I love all the games this week. I usually love them all every week, but I love that game, the Winnipeg game. I think Winnipeg needs this game, maybe even more than Toronto. Who Toronto's going to start at quarterback, he hasn't even said yet. I think he'll probably start Dukes and have a really short leash and put Arbuckle in. He feels more comfortable with Arbuckle because Arbuckle can, the way people are playing Dukes now is they're sitting back in zones and saying, you're not going to be throwing that dig route consistently against us. You're not going to throw the ball over the middle. So we're going to bunch everybody in and make you throw the ball outside and make sure you don't run. And when they do that, it really causes problems. Plus, when Dukes has a long field, it makes it more difficult for him. So Arbuckle, he can do that. He can throw that ball. The problem with Arbuckle is he comes up with 1 or 2 plays that make you go, what are you doing? And if he doesn't do that, when you only play a little bit in the fourth quarter, you don't get a chance to do that. If he doesn't do that, he's a very effective quarterback. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do there. And Winnipeg, are they back? Is Zach going to, be able to get it back? I didn't think he played well last week. I thought 2 weeks ago he started to show signs. But then, between Ontario Wilson and Josh Johnson, his 2 new receivers, I know Maddie asked about Lawler. I think he's going to be extended on his 6th game. It may not take the whole 6 games, but it may only take half of that. But he's still got a bit to go, and they need him. So Brady Oliveira, slowly but surely, he had 125 yards, and last week they just went away from him. It made no sense why they did that, but they did. And so, there's a lot of things that game is going to answer. I think it's a huge game for Winnipeg because if Winnipeg falls too far behind those teams and Calgary, should Calgary win tonight, that makes this game even bigger for Winnipeg. So it's going to be tough. It's tough for Winnipeg coming into this stadium. It's hard to play at BMO Field because it's the only natural grass. So that's going to be interesting. And then the Sunday game, the Edmonton and Hamilton. Edmonton looked more in disarray after the change than they did at any point with Chris Jones. And we talked about it on the show last week that going from the booth to the field, and again, they win the toss and defer. The wind was a huge factor. I mean, we saw Lewis Ward miss a PAT, and Beattie missed 2, and the wind in the first half was a huge factor. At halftime, he chooses to take the ball instead of get the wind in the fourth quarter. So Ottawa ends up with the wind in both long quarters, and it's like, what are you doing? And I thought again, it's a different thing managing a game as a head coach. So they just seemed much more discombobulated than they did when Jones was there. And I don't really see them winning this game. I think Hamilton is starting to get it together, and I again, it's tough going west, but I don't see it.
Well, I get it. Maybe that's why. I'm not sure who's favorite. Doesn't matter. I'll go against the grain and pick Edmonton because nobody else is. Coach, enjoy the game. Statistically, it's been the best season of CFL football ever. It's been great. You're the biggest part. Thank you so much for the time. Enjoy the games.
Appreciate it, Rod.
The CFL on TSN's Jim Barker. Back with a sports update, viewer takeover the rest of the way this hour. You're all dying to get your comments out. And Darrin Bauming from Winnipeg in hour 2. We're live on Game Plus TV. Key Radio. We'll get some NFL going for our Atlanta listeners on the radio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Live, and Spotify.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
Now the race is on and here comes pride in the backstretch. Celebrate 40 years of Sawyer Brown. Some girls don't like boys like me. With Shenandoah. You got to get me to the church on the Cumberland Road. Plus special guest George Fox. Saturday, October 26th, Moose Jaw Event Center. I'll take the dirt road. Tickets are on sale now at the Moose Jaw Event Center box office or online at sasktix.ca. 6 days on the road and I'm Sawyer Brown and Shenandoah live.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
All right, welcome back, everybody, on a Football Friday. If you noticed, are you paying attention? Probably not. We've had 2 live guests so far on the program. For the next hour, it's just me and you. It's just me and you. So let's get the comments humming here. If you're watching on YouTube, or you can text in 902-518-3033. It is a Football Friday, ball for all, and man, oh man, have we talked about all football so far. There are other things going on. I'll just say one more, though. I follow Skip Bayless on Twitter. I don't really know why, because I'm not a fan, but longtime Dallas newspaper writer, now on Fox Sports 1. Yeah, he just does things differently than I would do things. You guys down there in Atlanta, Rhino Radio, you listening? You know Skip Bayless. He's put on Twitter, all in my ass, talking about the Dallas Cowboys. And look, 79 million views of that tweet, all in my ass, from Skip Bayless. But the thing is, everybody hates Skip. Everybody hates him. So it's like, is it worth it, Skip, to say these outrageous? Shannon Sharp walked, like, right off the show because he couldn't work with this goof. Is it worth getting the ratings and the click to be an absolute jackwagon that everybody hates? Not willing to do it. And he's got a beef with the Dallas Cowboys. Troy Aikman, if he ever sees him, will rip him in half. It's just not worth it to me to try and be salacious for the sake of clicks. Serious. Which is also funny, by the way. You know, I've realized this years ago, but it's really hitting home how Looney Tunes some Rider fans are. If I pick Saskatchewan to lose, it's, oh, you're bitter. You need to get over it. So I picked the Riders to win, and they lost last night. Same guy writes in and says, can you pick him to lose again? Because you're always wrong. You know what you can do? Did I tell you I was ready for the weekend? Did I tell you that? Here's a sports update. Canada will have to defend its Olympic gold medal in women's soccer minus the team's head coach. The Canadian Olympic Committee removed Bev Priestman from the role for the remainder of the Paris Games following a Canada soccer suspension amid a drone spying scandal. 2 Canadian staffers were sent home earlier this week after New Zealand complained 2 of its practices had drones hovering overhead. Canada opened the tournament with a 2-1 victory over New Zealand. Clearly, I could do 2 solid hours on this and won't. Talked about it lustily the last couple of days. So they've now been sanctioned. So she's like, I'll step back for 2 games. Is that okay? No, Bev, it ain't. But nice try. So now the Canadian Olympic Committee and Soccer Canada's sent her home, so she's done. And I'm like, wait till the IOC gets a hold of her. And also FIFA. This is like your mom, after you did something really stupid as a kid, sending you to your room. That's mom's punishment. And then she says, you wait until your dad gets home. That's when the IOC and FIFA hammers fall. She done. For a while anyways. Crime don't pay, folks. And then baseball, add another ugly loss to the Blue Jays ledger. Taj Bradley pitched 6 shutout innings and allowed just 2 hits in the Tampa Bay Rays' 13-0 dismantling of the Toronto Blue Jays. Last place in the American League East, the Jays open a 3-game weekend series with the Texas Rangers tonight. From the WCBL, the Western Canadian Baseball League, Lethbridge beat my Moose Jaw Millers last night 7-6. We're home tonight to the Swift Current 57s. Weyburn beat Medicine Hat 4-3. Brooks over Edmonton 15-1. Okotoks beat Regina 19-8. And Saskatoon knocked off Swift Current 9-3. And this is interesting. It's making the news. All the way out in Grand Prairie, Darcy in Grand Prairie writes in, and he says, this little girl was robbed at her lemonade stand. You read that right, in Saskatoon the other day. The Saskatoon Berries let her set up her stand at the game this week, plus she threw the first pitch. She threw an actual lemon. We got a report yesterday from the Western Canadian Baseball League. Social media impressions have tripled, we are going to surpass the 300,000 attendance mark within the next week, which is the fastest the league's ever done it. Everything's great. And I'm going to tell you something. This is all new to me, and I'm trying to get my handle around it, in that while I'm the voice of one team, and I love them, the Moose Jaw Millers, I like every team. Growing to love every... What is not to love about the Saskatoon Berries? What is there not to love? How could I hate them? And the Regina Red Sox people are like family to me. Can't hate them. I love them. I'm calling a game last week, Moose Jaw against Weyburn. I'm pulling for Weyburn because they're last place, Weyburn Beavers, and they didn't give up, and the Beavers won. I'm like, that's a Weyburn thing, to not give up, and ended up winning. I've never been in a league before where I didn't hate every other team. That's a fact. Kind of like it. Feels good. Anyways, we'll get back on point with the football. When we come back, Bobby Boucher, live on Game Plus TV. Listen, let's get the comments going, right? We'll turn it over to you when we come back in Viewer Takeover. Live here on Game Plus TV, WQEE, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Live, and Spotify.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult, because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Professional basketball is back in Saskatchewan. The Saskatchewan Rattlers are heating up. Catch them live at SaskTel Center in Saskatoon from May through August. The team is packed with high-caliber talent from the NBA, NCAA, and professional leagues around the world, with a head coach straight from the LA Clippers. Secure your seats now on Ticketmaster, starting at just $20. See you in the Snake Pit.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Did you know you can catch all the best moments from the show on all our social media platforms? Now, back to the studio with Rod.
There we go. I'm just passing it along. I'm just relaying this along. I said viewer takeover the rest of the way. I got some more sports I can get to too, but Kirk in Toronto writes in. He says, Football Fridays and pickleball don't mix on Game Plus TV. Come on now. To be preempted on your flagship day of the week for us diehard football fans, thank God for YouTube. I'll just pass it along. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. You're welcome. Robert in Las Vegas writes in. He says, I'm disappointed to hear that Nathan Rourke is not getting a legitimate opportunity with the Giants to show his skills. He's had 0 team drill participation or rep. Quarterbacks Jones, Locke, and DeVito are awful. But here now, Rob, in Vegas, you've answered your own question. He was never going to get a chance there. And maybe we need to talk to the Nathan Rourke people. Maybe we need to talk to Farhan. But when you got Daniel Jones, Drew Locke, and Tommy DeVito, where are you going to get reps in that? Maybe he should have looked at the depth chart before he signed there. Were they offering the most money? I don't know. But did you think that he was going to get a chance? I don't understand what you're disappointed about. Rob, you're a smart guy. I met you at Sober Bowl in Las Vegas last year. You're a smart guy. What did you think was going to happen? I thought he should have stayed in New England where they're rebuilding and it had the rep. Maybe the opportunity wasn't there. I'm not sure. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. The road to hell is also paved with good football players that never got a chance. Sorry. Casey Jones in Winnipeg says, come on, Rod. Zach's got 2 touchdowns. Oh, I'm sorry. He's the MVP of the league. Ba-ba-ba-ba-bam. Jeremy in Winnipeg says, as much as Jared Jones blabs at the podium, he sure knows how to draft. I'll give him that. Draft good players, come Pro Bowlers. All pros got to pay them. Jeremy, you're not a Dallas fan, though. I know that you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan. Here's the thing. I got a mental Rolodex on all of you watching. I know who all of you are cheering for. Clark cheers for the Atlanta Falcons.
Bingo!
I didn't say you got good taste. I'm just saying I know who you cheer for.
I like it.
This is what I know about Dallas. The scouting and personnel people have said, Jerry, you go sit in that room while we draft, okay? Okay. Jerry doesn't know how to draft. He's handed it over to his scouting people, and it's worked. Tony in George Fox country writes in. He says, you take the high road, Rod, and I'll take the dirt road. That's all I know. With George Fox, he didn't sing that. Sawyer Brown did. Talk country music history with me. I used to be a country music DJ. That's why I'm a sportscaster now. Colin in Ottawa writes in. He says, when the Giants miss the playoffs, everyone's getting fired. So maybe they get desperate at the end of the season and throw Rourke in there praying for a miracle. That's a long time to wait, but that's football. Hour 2 coming up, and Darrin Bauming will be around as well. Stick around, everybody. We'll be right back.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. BDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
This former producer of major market television shows writing into us anonymously to say he just found our show on Game Plus Television. Here's some tips. The show has ADD. It's all over the place. Your sound effects are annoying. And your host is arrogant. Right on all counts. But that's what we want. That's what we wanted it to be.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is a fantastic way to end the week. Wouldn't you agree? A Football Friday here on Game Plus Television. I'm ready for the weekend. How about you? Got some great football action. CFL's in week 8. NFL training camps are on, and I'm going to get to your comments in a second. It's just me and you here in hour 2 as we lift the lid. I don't know. I don't feel bad, nor do I regret it, but that major market television show producer never came back here. For those that know the story, he blasted our show. I just found your show here on Game Plus TV, and here's what I think's wrong with it. I pretty much jammed it back down his throat, and we never heard from him again. Oh, come on back. Come on. I know I'm hard to argue with. Years of training. So here's where we're at. Because it's a Football Friday, we always open with the big story. 1 hour ago, Matt Dubuc joined us. Argonauts and Argos alum played with the Texas Tech Red Raiders and one of my closest friends in South Florida. He joined us because he watches every minute of every CFL game to talk about last night's Montreal Alouettes victory over Saskatchewan, 20-16. I'm still trying to remember the name of the third-string quarterback for Montreal that came off the bench to lead the Alouettes to the win in the second half. And the Owls held Saskatchewan to no points in the second half. And so we talked about that. There's some fun stuff out of that. CFL fines, we talked about that. McLeod Bethel Thompson, Edmonton's quarterback, fined for whining for a second straight week about short weeks. And Winnipeg linebacker Adam Beghill fined for decking Saskatchewan's quarterback on the last play of the game in Week 7. NFL notes. Again, we are only on the air in the USA on television today. In Canada on Game Plus, they're airing pickleball. It's their channel. They make the decisions. Called the Golden Rule, folks. I'm very familiar with it. You can get upset, but I'm not. But because we're on the air in the USA, there's a little thing called the National Football League, that 4-down league. It's kind of big. And before we even knew that we were only on the air in the USA, Clark and I came up with a poll question today of this. What's the biggest story in the NFL? And Clark, please get a YouTube count tally if you don't mind as I read out your options. What's the biggest story in the NFL right now? There's a lot of stories. What's the biggest one? Okay, here's your options. 1, Kansas City Chiefs going after a three-peat. They'd be the first team to do it since the 60s Packers. Number 2, the Steelers' quarterback room is all new. How will they do? Led by Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. And 3, Dallas Cowboys, all-in mantra from the owner, Jerry Jones, or other. What is it, Clark? What are they saying? Leading the way is 41% Kansas City Chiefs. That's very interesting to me. But you know what? It's America, and America loves a winner. I feel like it's a Canadian thing. We root for the underdog. In Canada, what have I been saying all week? Winning still matters. They love a winner. Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, they feel like they know them. Chris Jones. Good story. There's worse stories to have than that. John Ohm in Winnipeg has written in. He says, I can't understand why Rasheed Bailey was let go. Receiver, right, with the Toronto Argonauts. Maybe Darrin Bauming will know. He joins us next from Bonfire Sports, Winnipeg. He's TSN alum. Carlos in Indianapolis says, I don't think the Chiefs will get the three-peat, but it would be quite the story if they became the first to do it. The first since the 60s Packers. John Ohm goes on to say the Kansas City Swifties, top story. You know, it used to drive me nuts, but it doesn't anymore. I just realized to turn the television off, turn the TV off, put my phone down. All of a sudden, I'm not driven nuts anymore. Would you consider that? CFL tonight, Calgary's at Ottawa. We previewed all the games last hour with not only Matt Dubuc, but also Jim Barker as well. I'm interested for this. Folks, tell me, on both sides of the border, you're following the NFL coverage, and here we haven't even talked Olympics yet today, and probably won't. What are the stories you're seeing coming out of NFL training camps? What are you seeing? Because, to be honest, I totally forgot up in Seattle that they got a brand new coach up there, Mike McDonald, taking over from Pete Carroll. Every market has a story. It's unending. A rebuild in New England. Whether the Patriots have come out and actually said it, they have. It's the first year under the Belichick era, and I think everybody thinks they're going to miss the playoffs again. Hope you enjoyed it, New England. It was great. It doesn't last forever. Jeremy in Winnipeg says the Raiders camp had a Kermit the Frog Mahomes doll at camp. Rivalries. Mahomes asked about it, said early in the season it'll get handled when it gets handled. What the hell are you talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about. Well, as they say, where there's smoke, there's fire. Wayne in BC just wrote in and says, I just looked it up, and Rasheed Bailey will turn 31 in 3 days, so he's not that old. I cut from 2 teams. Do the math. There's Jeff Merrick. It's in the news. Jeff Merrick no longer performing duties at Sportsnet out of Toronto. It was brought up this morning. Do I know why? I don't know why. I don't know these things. I just assumed it was budget cutbacks. Isn't that the way it goes in this business? It's not? I don't know. What I will bring up is this, because our number one region for viewership is still Saskatchewan, probably always will be. Saskatchewan Roughriders go into Montreal Thursday night to kick off Week 8. Billed as a Grey Cup preview by some. Not me, to be honest. I had BC Montreal going to the Grey Cup. But just so you know, folks, as I'm sitting here on my own today, Moose is caddying at the CKPG Women's Open in Calgary. He's not here. And Darrin Bauming's coming up in the next segment from Bonfire Sports Winnipeg. We can get your Bomber questions out there and preview that Argos-Bombers match on Saturday. But here's what's going on here. And I love the chat last hour with Jim. See you guys. Those hockey players trying to keep on point. Hockey players having a hockey camp here. Teenage hockey players. And I've got to be good friends with them. Remind me about the teenage hockey players because I want to stay on point here. You need to understand what it's like. I never understood living here for a half century, and I'm only back for the summer. I'll be back in Florida after Labor Day weekend. The football people used to always say, it's just like Mississippi. It's just like Alabama. I didn't know what that was like till I went to those places. Oh, now I get it. It's really all there is there, certainly from a sports standpoint. So it's all anybody fixates on. Now, on the flip side, there are people that aren't into that cult. And I've gotten to know them, and I actually hang with them. But last night I went to a fundraiser, watched that Saskatchewan game where the Riders were up, 20-3 at halftime. Rocket and rolling, man. The joint was bumping. They had a taco bar there, and it was incredible at the fundraiser for CFL Fans Fight Cancer. Then all of a sudden, boop, Montreal makes a quarterback change. Sask doesn't score another point. Montreal goes on to win 20-16. And now, today, it's how come they didn't make the adjustments? How come we quit running the ball in the second half? How come? How come we've lost 2 of the last 3? Amongst other things. And it's the first time that I've seen since Corey Mace was hired in January, I think. And you have to understand, the rookie head coach for Saskatchewan, his face is up on billboards. I see him all over town. This is a family, blah, 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 blah. Now what? How come you couldn't figure out how to stop a third-string quarterback? How come you guys quit running the ball in the second half? Here we go. It's on now. How is he going to handle it? I'm just curious to see. And I mentioned this last hour, if you just tuned in for hour 2 and you didn't see hour 1, I'm getting to this point in the CFL where I cheer for everybody. I cheer for a good story. I cheer for good football. And that's what we've had this year. Statistically, we've said it many times. It's the best season of CFL football ever. I don't really care who wins on a game-in, game-out basis. It's just new for me. And in the baseball league, while the Moose Jaw Millers are paying me, I still love every team in the league because I'm getting to know their people and their great stories. I'm cheering for good stories now. It's not all about my team. Weird. I kind of like Ottawa's Colin writes in, and he says, another sad part of Saskatchewan losing last night is the team that won the ground game handily lost the game. We need to run the ball more in 3-down football, in my opinion. Colin, you are a football guy. I know that, and I think you played the game, right? I'll speak from a fan standpoint. No, stop. What makes the CFL great is the aerial attack. That's what everybody talked about. You want to see the ground game? Go watch the NFL. That's what makes us different? That's just me. Tony and Cochran. Let's get the comments coming in, please. That's what I said. Don't just wait for me to sit here and talk and be a monologue. I know it's highly entertaining, but I want you folks. This is your chance. We don't have a live guest on here, so write in now. People have figured it out. 902-518-3033. Tony from George Fox Country, which is Cochrane, Alberta. He writes in and he says, just when I was becoming a Canadian men's and women's soccer fan, now I'm totally done with them both. Go Canada basketball. And that reminds me, on Saturday, I'm going out to the lake to hang with a longtime buddy of mine. We're going to go out on the boat, and then we're going to watch the Canadian men's basketball team at the Olympics. And I think that just sounds like a great deal. And I'll probably watch the CFL game. I'm assuming it's a night game, Toronto, Winnipeg. I don't know, man. My whole life ain't wrapped up in it. But thank you for bringing that up, Tony and Cochran, because I was thinking of this in the break when I went and did a little washroom visit. Jim Lang, our good friend Jim Clubber Lang, what the hell? The Region Radio. I think that's the name of his station there in York, Ontario, The Region. He said this is the biggest scandal in the history of Canadian Olympic sport, this soccer scandal. I don't agree. And I apologize, Clark. I try to involve you, but I can't. You weren't even born in 1988 when the Ben Johnson scandal happened. We won gold with the Olympic sprinter, Los Angeles Olympic, and then he runs. Do you correct me if I'm wrong, folks, those that have a little age on you, like me? Did he not like run right off the track into a little cubicle, pee in a bottle? Within minutes, they found out he was steroids and they took the medal away from him. I'm going to say that was a bigger scandal than this. I think my guy Jim Clubber Lang's getting caught up in the moment. That Ben Johnson scandal was bigger than the Canadian women's soccer coach being caught spying on her opposition. Now, it may end up being a bigger story if they roll this back and peel it back and the investigation shows that they were cheating in the last Olympics in 2020 where they won gold and that gets stripped. That's bigger than Ben Johnson. But when you lose a gold medal, that's a bigger deal than this, sorry. And we're still talking about it 35 years later. Are we still going to be talking about this 35 years from now? Bev Priestman? I don't think so. Ben Johnson remains the poster boy for cheating at the Olympics as far as I'm concerned, certainly in track and field events. Maybe that would be a good poll question. What's a bigger scandal? Hey, it can wait till Monday because I don't think we've heard the last of this. That last hour, I'll say it again for the people that weren't here or weren't tuned in. The Canadian Olympic Committee and Soccer Canada sending Bev Priestman home is akin to mom sending you to your room and saying, you wait till your father gets home. That's when you crap yourself. Mom's punishment is what it is, but dad's punishment in this case is the IOC and FIFA. You wait. We may never hear from Bev Priestman again. John, thank you. John says Ben Johnson was the biggest scandal ever. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It still comes up 35 years later in normal conversation, at least with the girls I go with. So that was before producer Clark was even born. It still comes up. That's bigger than this, at least as it stands now. Rob in Vegas writes in, he says, the Las Vegas Raiders are experimenting in training camp with having a defensive player handle kickoff duties to add another tackler. Interesting approach. Not interesting to me, but I did ask you, what are you watching? So I asked for it on me. To me, that's not that interesting, but I asked for it. John Ohm says, Rod told me once, forever's a long time. No. I didn't say that. Gary Echeverry did. Forever's a long time. I don't have my glasses down on my nose to do my real Etch impression, but you get the. Darrin Bauming joins us next from Bonfire, Winnipeg. They want to know why Rasheed Bailey was let go by the Argos, Bomber. Just so you know, if you know, we would love to have you impart. We'll preview that big game Saturday, talk about these other sporting events. I think it's just going to be a good sport talk next on this Football Friday here on Game Plus TV, Key Radio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Live, and Spotify.
902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The 80s Club, live in Moose Jaw. Honeymoon Suite, along with a flock of seagulls. Men without hats. And spoons. All together for one night at Moose Jaw Event Center, Saturday, November 16th. Tickets on sale now at sastix.ca or the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
All right, we're back at it, everybody. RP Show is brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. Defeat boring Sundays. Every Sunday, kids can get out of the house and score a movie ticket and a snack pack for one great low price. Every movie, every Sunday. Landmark Cinemas Kids Day. Turn the average Sunday into a movie-filled fun day. Check your favorite Landmark Cinemas for showtimes. Some terms and conditions apply. Children must be age 13 and under with valid ID and valid for new movie releases only. Landmark Cinemas. Apparently, we don't have Darrin Bauming with us here off the top of this second segment, but we will, from Bonfire Sports in Winnipeg. It just means because you have all finally listened and you have given me lots of talk fodder here. I appreciate that. But I'm going to throw in this sports update because we are brought to you in part by the Canadian Elite Basketball League. Despite trailing by as many as 8 points in target score time, the Ottawa Blackjacks came back to pick up a 98-92 win over the Saskatchewan Rattlers on Thursday night. Elsewhere, Vancouver topped Brampton 108-83, and Calgary got past Winnipeg 87-83. The Philadelphia Flyers signed all-star Travis Konechny to an 8-year extension worth $70 million, committing to him being a long-term part of their core as they seek to shift from rebuilding mode to contending. The deal announced Thursday keeps Konechny under contract through 2033. On a video call with reporters, Konechny described his decision as a no-brainer, given what he sees as the organization's trajectory. How about that? Under Keith Jones and Daniel Briere, the general manager. Also brought to you by Golden Ticket Sports Center here in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, your hub for sport, fitness, and community fun. Check us out at goldenticketsportscenter.com. I get that. People are busy with their lives. I get it all. People are just now getting on to the fact that I'm here in Moose Jaw just for the summer, broadcasting Miller's baseball. They're like, is it as great as you sound? Yes, it is. Come check it out sometime. Tunnels of Moose Jaw, the trolley tour, Miller's baseball, all kinds of great things going on here in Moose Jaw. I'll say this. Actually, we got Darrin Bauming. Let's bring him in. I want to read this comment. Hey, Bomber, you are a good Canadian sportsman, last I checked. Jim Lang saying on Facebook today, this Bev Priestman scandal with the soccer is the biggest Olympic Canadian soccer of all time. Jim said that. I say no. Ben Johnson is. Trent in Norway writes in, he says, I say the Ben Johnson scandal is the biggest one in Canadian sports history. I agree that the soccer story can become bigger with the 2026 World Cup in North America. We'll see. Is this the biggest scandal of all time? I don't think so. It's big, but not the biggest.
I'm with you. This is a big scandal. This is a huge scandal because we learned yesterday that, the coach was let go because this is something that has gone on for years and might even bring Canada's gold medal from a couple Olympics ago into question. The reason the Ben Johnson scandal, in my mind, and yours, Rod, I think I'll speak for you here, is because it's a higher profile event in the Olympics. It's maybe the highest profile event in either the Winter or Summer Olympics across the globe. And it was the beginning of the steroid era, if you will, and bringing all of these athletes into question. So that was the foundational touchstone scandal, Ben Johnson in '88.
Yeah, well, to me, you've given better reasoning than I did, but you're smarter than me. We all know that. What I said was he lost his medal over it. He came, I don't know what year, I don't know how old you were. I was 15 watching those Olympics. Yeah. And I remember
I was about half that age.
Right off the track. Yeah, peed in a bottle, and they're like, oh, you took steroids, we're giving your medal back. This could be a bigger scandal if they take away the gold from the last Olympic, but right now, I would say that Ben Johnson was still bigger. And like you say, the start of the steroids era, we still talk about it 35 years later. I don't think we're going to be talking about Bev Priestman 35 years from now. Now, I invited audience participation.
Do you remember watching, sorry, Rod, do you remember watching Ben Johnson standing next to Carl Lewis and how hulking
I remember it all.
Ben Johnson was? He looked like the WWF wrestlers of that era. It was incredible.
He was like the WWF wrestlers of that era. They were all on steroids. They're all dead now. Because I invited the questions, I'm going to throw one to you. Jeremy, who ironically is in Winnipeg. He says, I'm wondering your opinion, Rod, if Mahomes does get a three-peat, but doesn't get 7 rings to match Brady, could he still be the GOAT? It's a no from me, dog. 7-7. But how would you answer that?
Yeah, 7 is 7 with multiple teams over 2 decades, right? That's greatest of all time. If you get lightning in a bottle, the GM, the coach, the chemistry in the locker room, all of that, and it works towards a three-peat, that's great. Maybe the best team of all time, that will come into question. That'll come into debate, but no. As much as I was a Colts fan, not a Patriots fan in those years, and I hate to say it, Tom Brady is the GOAT.
I'm going to tell you, you say you hate to say it? Do you not like Tom?
No, I never liked him.
Okay, fair. Here's the thing. Amongst the football people, because there's football people and then there's fans and media. They're different. Mm-hmm. There are football people that are media. They're somewhere in between. There's some conjecture amongst people who's the greatest quarterback of all time in the NFL. But amongst the football guys that I hang with, there ain't. It's Tom. Because they count championship.
Yep.
But that's not the debate I wanted to get into.
Guy. I think if I had to win one game, I would want Peyton. And a lot of people think I'm nuts for saying that, but that's how I feel.
Here's me. I can say they're both awesome. I know people don't want to hear that, but you also know that. They're going nuts, Bomber, about Rasheed Bailey getting released by the Argos. Was that just this morning? What do you know about this guy, and what do you know about that situation?
Yeah, I think we started hearing rumblings late last night, and anytime you mention Rasheed Bailey's name amongst Blue Bomber fans, they light up. The energy that he brings on and off the field is reflected in his fans, and it's pretty much everybody here in Winnipeg and Southern Manitoba, everybody in Blue Bombers Nation. The fact that he was released, we don't know why or, the reasoning behind it. We do know that he was listed on the injury report this week as a head injury, didn't practice, then was limited in practice, then fully practiced yesterday, and now he's been released, with Winnipeg having so many injuries to their elite level receivers in Kenny Lawler, who they hope to have back in a few weeks from a broken arm, Dalton Schoen, who is out for the season, Keurig Wheatfall, who was a 100-yard receiver as a rookie in week 2. All of those guys on the 6-game injured list right now. Lucky Whitehead, I think it's going to be his 3rd straight week on the practice roster, has not been activated yet after signing with Winnipeg. Everybody's wondering, is Rasheed going to be a Winnipeg Blue Bomber? And Jeff Hamilton of the Winnipeg Free Press reported today that the Bombers have expressed interest to Rasheed Bailey's agent. And I mean, they know what they're getting in him. And maybe that's what Winnipeg needs right now. Plain and simple, Rod, the Blue Bombers offense is putrid right now. It's awful. I've never seen it this bad since it was Brian Braum at quarterback. And maybe some of the NCAA fans remember that guy. But maybe a little bit of juice, a little bit of life that Rasheed Bailey can bring just to the locker room might be what the doctor ordered. I don't know.
Okay. Well, as you know, you've been covering the CFL a long time. I find it hard to cover because it's hard to get to the real story. Every league has its issues, but I find the CFL is the worst. Like Bailey, I thought, just from what I don't know anything about him, and without talking to anybody, I just thought he was a bad guy. I thought he was cut because he did something stupid. But did he leave Winnipeg because of money? Argos offered him more money? No, is that wrong? That was just an assumption that I made that I'm clearly wrong on.
Winnipeg couldn't offer him enough money. And that's not like he was asking for the world. The reality is Winnipeg had a ton of young guys that they really liked. And we've seen that already. Ontario Wilson, Keurig Wheatfall, Cody Case. And think about this, okay? You've got the highest paid quarterback in the league in Zach Collaros. You have the highest paid running back in Brady Oliveira. And you have 2 of the 3 highest paid receivers. They might even be the 2 highest paid receivers in the CFL in Kenny Lawler and Dalton Schoen. They just can't afford to pay $90,000 or $100,000 for that number 4 receiver on the depth chart, because you got Nick Dembski and you got fellow Canadian Drew Wolotarski and one of those new guys that they were hoping to get in. And we're seeing why Winnipeg liked their young guys so much, because they have been very good. So it wasn't a bad guy thing at all. He is close with a lot of guys in that room here in Winnipeg, was heart and soul energy always. And I think the Argos jumped on the opportunity to sign him. But why they cut him, that's a big, big question. You talk about there not being a lot of real answers or get the real story here in the CFL. The Argos are playing the Bombers this week. I'm trying to find information on the Argos, and it's kind of a media black hole, unfortunately, in the Big Smoke.
I don't know the answer on that. It's got, again, you've been around the CFL a real long time. You get it. I mean, they don't have the money at stake that the NHL does and the NFL does. When it comes to injuries, as it relates to the betting, it's all locked down. Boom, boom, boom. It's just not that way in the CFL. For me, that makes it very hard to cover. Agree or disagree?
Absolutely. Certainly. I remember a couple years ago, I can't even remember the player, but it was a prominent Argo player on offense and out for the season. And like 2 weeks went by and nobody knew. They just thought, oh, okay, he's one gamed or whatever. And ends up, they just one gamed him for a paper move. And then they ended up moving him to the 6. And that's unfortunate. I mean, here in Winnipeg, we've got maybe the most, if not one of the most robust media contingents when it comes to NHL hockey and most definitely the Canadian Football League. And because Mike O'Shea handles his business the way he does, for better or worse, we often don't know if a player is out for the season or whether they're going to be back in 4 weeks or 8 weeks or 16 weeks or will he play in the play? Sometimes we don't know. It took a national reporter to report that Dalton Schoen was out for the season for Mike O'Shea to then eventually confirm that report and say, yes, he is out for the season. That's the way it is in the CFL. You can, criticize the media members, as we often get. You can criticize the, everything behind the scenes, the CFL mandates, the CFL bylaws, all of those things that they hold the teams accountable to. Are they strict enough? I don't think so, but we are where we are. I don't know. I'll just come out and say it. I think the tail wags the dog when it comes to the CFL. I don't know if the league has enough power.
Hey, I get it, dude. I get it. I hope people are listening. This is what I don't miss. Getting called in by the owner of the radio station and going, how come we don't have any scoops on the Rough Riders? How come they're all coming from TSN? We're the voice of the team. We're paying them. I don't know. Ask the Riders. That was my answer. You're the big shot. You go ask them.
That's not different in other markets. That's not different in other markets.
Well, I'm still tired of it. Jeremy says the CFL needs an Adam Schefter. Oh, well, they kind of do. They kind of do. But, I was just going to say this, too, by the way. O'Shea's won. By the time he's done, he may go down as the winningest coach in Bomber history. I don't know. Cal's got 3 Grey Cups, right? Yep. O'Shea's got 2. I'll guarantee you he's not regretting how he handles his business. Yep. That's the other thing. You're not going to ever convince them they're wrong.
That's right. Yep. For better or worse. That's how I just have to leave it at that. Yeah, I've covered this team for 13, 14 seasons, and Mike O'Shea, since he took over the team in 2014, that's the way it is. And they have been a successful franchise. So I'm at the point now where it's like you got personal and professional, and it's like, hey, if they're winning, they're going to keep doing what they're doing. I'm not going to blame them for that.
Go walk your dog. If I had a dog. Charlie from Winnipeg writes in, he says, nice to see you here, DB. Your show is after Winnipeg Sports Talk today, right?
Yes, sir. Yep. Chris Welby and I always do our pregame show the day before the game, live at 3:00 on Bonfire Sports. And that gives people some time to digest it all before kickoff.
There you go. That's 3 p.m. Central, obviously. Right?
Yeah. Central Daylight Time, not Central Standard with the Regina crew, yeah.
I know. Another one. Don't start.
I'm getting you on all of your tomorrow points here today.
I know. On the fields. What's going to go on at BMO tomorrow? Do you have a prediction?
I mean, you talk about 2 teams that are Jekyll and Hyde this year. You got the Toronto Argonauts and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I mean, Argos beat BC week 1. Okay. Hey, it's week 1. You never know what you're going to get. And I think game planning that week is very difficult. Week 2, they squeak by the Edmonton Elks. Like, the Elks gifted them that game. Then they lose to Montreal. They lose to Saskatchewan. They beat Montreal in the game that Cody Fajardo got hurt a couple weeks ago. Then they lose to the lowly Hamilton Tiger Cats, albeit it was at Tim Hortons Field, down the road from Toronto. But the Argos, I mean, the offseason that they had, the Chad Kelly fiasco that likely continues, and it's really shook the Toronto Argonauts up. And I think they were a team, along with Montreal, that were really looking like, okay, maybe the power is shifting a little bit in the CFL towards the East with 2 strong franchises there. Scott Milanovic taking over in Hamilton, I thought they were going to be a lot better than they've shown to be, a 1-win football team. I thought the East was going to be really good this year, but you got a real mixed bag with the Toronto Argonauts. And then, I mean, Winnipeg, you could call them Jekyll and Hyde. You could call them just Hyde, or I guess Jekyll was the monster, right? They've just been completely un-Blue Bomber-like. And nobody's going to blame injuries, but no doubt that's come into play. I think if you point at one thing, why the Bombers are 3 games under 500 right now, it's Zach Collaros And his play has just been nowhere near what we've come to know and appreciate of the two-time CFL MOP. It's very, very strange this season.
Yeah, hey, intriguing game. We all got to watch. All the games intriguing this week. Darrin, thanks for this. Have some great shows, man. Hope you're having a great summer.
Hey, great talking to you, Roddy. You too. Take care.
As always, the great Darrin Bauming. And what was the guy's name in Winnipeg? Was it Charlie Dufault? Yeah, thanks for that, Rod. I got you. We got a final sports update of the day, and I want to turn it all over to you, the viewers, at my own peril the rest of the way. We're here on Game Plus TV. USA only today. Apple Podcasts, YouTube Live, and Spotify.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Hi, my name is Logan Stanhope.
And I'm Connor Bernard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Oh, yeah, he's back. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
I'm going to tell you something right now. This squad of listeners and viewers is the best in all of sports media, maybe media entirely. Ryan O'Radio checks in from WQEE 99.1 FM, your southern home of sports and talk. Down there in Atlanta, he says, enjoying the show, RP. Thank you, Ryan. We're enjoying you. The host of the Radio Penitentiary every morning, right, Ryan, 6 to 10 a.m. here on Key Radio. And then everybody jumps on board. Hello, Atlanta, says Jeremy. Bomber boy, hi, Atlanta. Don't forget, in the Peach City, we're very big. And I appreciate Ryan tuning in because he is not a Canadian by trade. Not at all. You ever been in Canada, Ryan? Because we are Canada's daytime sports talk show. But the ironic thing, and it's kind of just like my juxtaposition in life, we're not on the air in Canada today on Game Plus. We're only on the air in America. So now my phone's blowing up, both the show phone and my personal phone. How come you're not on? You know what I feel like? The person at the drive-thru getting yelled at. That person goes home and God knows what they do. Gets baked, drinks a dozen. I don't know. That's not an option for me. So you just get here and field questions all day, and then you're done. And you punch the clock. I'm waiting to hear Ryan O'Radio if you've ever been in Canada or not. Carlos in Indianapolis writes, he says, we're glad to do our part in making this one of the best sports shows on the continent. Well, for its own reasons, I'd say it is the best. But I'll say this then. Because the Olympics are on, and I'm seeing that the opening ceremonies are just about to start, and we're 16 minutes away. So I may skedaddle out of here and get home and watch them. I'm not sure yet. It's not something I'm going to break my ankle to do. But I am interested in this. Jim Lang, he's no dummy. Just so you know, Jim Clubber Lang and I go back 20-plus years, and I love the guy. And I also know it's mutual. He says this is the biggest scandal in Canadian Olympic history. I don't agree. I still think Ben Johnson is. However, the latest, Christine Sinclair, who is a world star, really, played more Canadian women's soccer games than anybody else in this country's history, has released a statement. You got to go check it out. I just saw it on Instagram in the break. And she's basically exonerated all players from anything to do with this. Smart. And just so the viewers know, lawyers get involved at this point. Lawyers. I would say go check out the Christine Sinclair statement on your own because my lawyer's not sitting here handy. I got him busy with other things. But it's basically saying how unfortunate it is that the players had to operate under these conditions from this staff going back to the last Olympics, international competition, but basically saying we had nothing to do with this. And by the way, I don't think there's anything wrong with what she's doing. Bomber Boy writes it and says Celine Dion is in a canoe. The fact that I know what you're talking about is shame on both of us, Bomber Boy. My guy Devin Haru is there covering the Olympics on behalf of the CBC, the People's Network. He had live coverage the other day of Celine Dion landing in Paris. Ryan O'Radio writes and he says, yes, back in my musical days, but would like to spend more than just a few traveling days through there. Canada is amazing, but I don't like it in the winter. So I have the wonderful option of going back and forth between Canada and the USA. And I'm the luckiest guy in the world. You don't hear me complaining most days. Where the heck was I? Hey, on the greatest quarterback of all time. And Tony and Cochran, I feel like you're a guy I'd like to spend some time with. Where the hell were you the last 2 years when I was in Alberta? Did you just find us? With regards to a really good question from Jeremy in Winnipeg, he goes, if Mahomes leads the Chiefs to a third straight Super Bowl this year, Is he even in the conversation with Brady as the greatest ever? The answer, of course, is no. Because in sports, we count championships. Call me crazy. 7 is a lot more than 3 in a row. I know it's not 7 in a row. But so Tony from Cochrane says, hard not to argue that Warren Moon was the best quarterback of all time. No deflate gate and overcame racism in the NFL. Well, I know Warren. He's been on this show many times. I'll say this because he did break down a barrier. Warren Moon has his place in history. But there ain't nobody other than you, Tony, that's going to say Warren Moon's the greatest quarterback in NFL history. There is a conversation he's the greatest quarterback in CFL history. I'll listen to that. I will. Quarterbacking the Eskimos to 5 straight Grey Cups. But he ain't in the NFL conversation. For political reasons and for humanitarian reasons, I would probably go along with that. And I'm actually real glad that you did bring that up because it's in my morning commentary today. What's the lesson that we're learning here, by the way? The Astros got caught for cheating in 2017 and still got to keep their World Series title. It was never stripped. Tom Brady is now admitting, yeah, we deflated the football. Yeah, we did all the things you accused. Of course, we all knew it. And they're getting to keep their Super Bowls. Yet, in the Olympics, they don't screw around, is what we're getting at here right now. The Canadian Olympic Committee and Soccer Canada sending Bev Priestman home is akin to your mom saying, go to your room and you'll deal with your father when he gets home. It's going to get a hell of a lot worse when Dad gets home. It was for me. So if they end up losing their gold from the 2020 games, all of a sudden we got the biggest scandal in Canadian Olympic history. And it looks like that might be coming. But we're not there yet. We'll be right back, y'all, on a Football Friday here on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Live, and Spotify.
Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
Professional basketball is back in Saskatchewan. The Saskatchewan Rattlers are heating up. Catch them live at SaskTel Center in Saskatoon from May through August. The team is packed with high-caliber talent from the NBA, NCAA, and professional leagues around the world, with a head coach straight from the LA Clippers. Secure your seats now on Ticketmaster, starting at just $20. See you in the state.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. ICAST Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Hey, everybody. Hey, it's the final segment brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. Have you checked them out yet? That would be a good poll question. Yes or no? It's going up, 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 up. Yes, I have. 28th Street Northeast, where skill and fun collide. Now's the time you need to be working on your game. You know what? These kids are doing it in here in Moose Jaw, these Saskatchewan hockey kids. Don't get left behind. 28th Street Northeast is the place to be. Overtime Hockey Lanes. It's an amusement park for hockey players. Trust me. Tell them Rod sent you if you don't mind. Never mind. So these young hockey players are in here every day, boys and girls. And I just love them. And a lot of times they'll come over and say, hey, we'll have a little visit. Ask them who they're trying out for this year. How was their year last year? That kind of thing. And the other day I'm walking into Walmart, and one of these young players comes walking in with a girl. And I said, oh, is this what you do at night? Go on dates to Walmart? And it goes, it's my sister. She broke out laughing. He didn't. Where's Rick Reagan?
Spicy.
I was thinking more of a, oh, no.
Oh, no. Hot take.
Yeah. Right. Let me read a sports update, and then we'll really get in the pit of the comments. The Toronto Blue Jays will be hoping to rebound when they open a 3-game series against the Texas Rangers tonight at Rogers Center. The Jays were embarrassed 13-0 on their home turf by the Tampa Bay Rays yesterday afternoon. Yusei Kikuchi scheduled to start for Toronto. Andrew Heaney gets the call for Texas. This is where it's at now. I just feel like you all don't know what it's like internally for the Blue Jays. It's like, you know somebody's going to get fired. You all know it internally. Who's it going to be? Oh, it's terrible times for the Blue Jays right now. Because they work like every other sports team I've ever been around. Because it's human nature. People start covering their own back. Because you know somebody's going to go. How high up does it go? Brooke Henderson, and then you got almost a half a season left. It's horrible. Brooke Henderson has some work to do at the CPKC Canadian Women's Open. The golfer from Smith Falls, Ontario, shot an even par 72 in yesterday's opening round. American Lauren Coughlin fired a 68 to sit atop the leaderboard. Maude Amy LeBlanc and Savannah Gruel carded the best Canadian scores after registering a pair of 71s. The sports updates brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. Monday is Seniors Day at Landmark. Get more of the movies you love every Monday for less. Seniors enjoy 20% off the posted seniors admission price, and to sweeten the deal, receive 20% off their concession purchase too. So make Mondays your movie day because a great deal never gets old. Check your favorite Landmark Cinemas for showtimes and pricing. And also, EMJ Marketing. Connect with thought leaders and industry experts through EMJ Marketing Speakers Bureau. contact emjmarketing.com. I'm on their roster. Jim Barker's on their roster. Stu Grimson's on their roster. A bunch of NHL, CFL, and some NFL great. 3 minutes left here. 902-518-3033, the text line. Stacy writes in from Access World Headquarters, says, have a safe weekend, Rod Squad. Rod and Rod Squad. Same to you, Stacy. Take care out there. I was in at that fundraiser last night, CFL Fans Fight Cancer, and to be honest, you see the coverage coming out of the news and some social media accounts that have taken it their personal mission to make the city look terrible. I don't know why they do that. I had a good time. City looks beautiful. Jeremy in Winnipeg says 7 days from the NFL preseason Hall of Fame game, Texans-Bears. Yeah, we'll get into a lot of NFL next week. So follow the NFL news because we're going to be talking about it next weekend, plus the CFL games if you can. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, oh, I hated that time between Mom saying that and Dad coming home. You wait till your dad gets home. That's the difference between COC's disciplinary action and the IOC. Heads may roll over this. Ryan in upstate New York says, whenever you heard Mom say, wait until your father gets home, you knew you were screwed. For me, it was, how bad's it going to be? It's the anxiety. It's the wait. And then you deal with it, then it's over. That's the other side of it. Tonight, Canadian Elite Basketball League, Saskatchewan Rattlers at Montreal, Vancouver at Scarborough, and the Western Canadian Baseball League. We got here in Moose Jaw, the Millers hosting Swift Current in town tonight, Okotoks at Regina, Medicine Hat at Weyburn, Edmonton at Lethbridge, and Sylvan Lake at Fort McMurray. Setting an attendance record. That's what we're doing, y'all, in the WCBL. It's big fun. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you Monday right back here, same place, same station.
Who has more fun than us?